Hello friends, so welcome to this lecture on role definition in case of Azure RBAC. In the first lecture, we have discussed about the first pillar, which is about security principle, and the next is about the role definition in case of Azure RBAC. So this is the second pillar. So we should pay attention because this is very crucial to understand the role-based access control in case of Azure. So what is role definition? Role definition is nothing but a collection of permissions which you can assign to a security principal to perform various kind of operations like read, write, delete, right? Or the permissions or the actions which cannot be performed, means the action which cannot be performed. So that is why we call it as role definition is a collection of permission. So there are two type of roles in case of Azure. The first category is the built-in roles. The other category is the custom roles which organization users or the organization can control. So for example, there are number of built-in roles provided by the Azure like owner, contributor, backup operator, security reader, depending on the different services also like virtual machine contributor role, key vault contributor role, backup contributor role, right? Or a storage contributor role. So there are different types of built-in roles already created by Azure. But let's say if there is a specific need that okay organization is looking to create some custom roles depending on the organization need, the organization can do that like the reader support, ticket operator, virtual machine operator role, and you can assign the different type of permissions depending on the organization need. So on a high level there are two type of role, built-in role and custom roles. So in case of built-in roles, there are number, but at a high level, there are three fundamental built-in roles, which are owner, contributor, or a we call it as a reader role. So owner is the one who has full access to all resources, including that he can delegate access to other users. And the another is contributor. Contributor can also create and manage all type of resources, but the difference from the owner is that it cannot grant access to others like we can do with the owner role. And then is the reader role. The user can only view the existing resources. He cannot modify or delete the resources. The exam tip that okay, user X administrator and the owner role. These are the two type of roles that can basically use to manage access to other Azure resources. So that is exam question as well. Now we'll move on to the next concept, which is management and the data operations. This is also very crucial to understand because that is the core with the help of which we need to provide access to various resources. So Azure has management and the data operation that basically helps you to grant access to objects and data within an object. For example, let's say if there is a storage account, so in that case if the access is provided to just to manage the storage account, not the data within the storage account, then we are talking about the management plane, means managing the storage plane. Now if we'll see that okay, providing access to blobs within the containers, right? So that is we are talking about the data plane, so that is the data operation. So only the management actions on a particular resource, like it could be on a key vault, it could be on a storage account, or it could be on a database, then we are talking about the management operations. So if we are talking about the providing access to the data, so then we are dealing with the data operations. That is the key we need to understand. See, for example, if user has a read access to a storage account, then they can read the blobs or message within the storage account. So don't worry, let's try to understand with the help of this example. So if you'll see there are two users, one is Alice, who is the owner, and then is the Bob, who is the having access onto the storage blob data contributor role. So he's having the owner role, then he's having the storage blob data contributor role. So if you'll see, Alice is an owner and the actions are defined as static, means Alice has access to all the permissions. Like what Alice can do means Alice has a wildcard access at the subscription level, means the scope is the subscription level. So in case of actions are defined as star, means all access, what Alice can do is Alice can read, write basically the or delete the containers. And if you'll see, Alice is not having the you mean this access at the data plane. So in that case, Alice cannot perform the data operations without taking any additional steps. So in that case, if Alice need access to the blobs, then additional permissions needs to be provided. So in that case, Alice would have to retrieve the storage access keys, then he would be able to access the blobs. But if you'll see on the other hand, Bob, so Bob actions are means the data contributor permissions are mentioned like actions onto the management as well as the data actions. So if you'll see, these are the management actions. So here the actions are defined only for the management action. So that is why Alice will not be able to perform any kind of data operations. Since storage blob data contributor, he's having access both at the management level actions, so he can delete container, read or write containers, and he's having access onto the data actions as well, means he can perform actions at the data operations as well. So Bob's permissions are restricted to just actions and data actions specified in the data blob contributor role. So in that way, he can perform delete blobs, read blobs, or write blobs. So this is how we can control access at the management and the data operations depending on the user role within the organization. So this is it, friends. In this lecture, we discuss about the role definition in case of Azure and the type of roles. Then we discuss about the management and the data operations. So thank you, friends. Thank you for watching this lecture. Meet you in the next lecture. Thank you.